Man, I wish this game had swords in it. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor started development in 2011 by Monolith Productions, who were known for games like Fear 1, Fear 2, and Gotham City Imposters. Monolith wanted the game to be as faithful as possible, and even got the help of a few Tolkien scholars and Peter Jackson himself. The game and its sequel are set between the 60-year gap between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings trilogies, but are technically not canon, but I will get into that later. The game was released on September 30th, 2014, and it was even nominated for Game of the Year, and is considered one of the best Lord of the Rings games ever made. With it being a fan favorite and having a special place in my heart for being one of the first single-player games I bought on my PS4, it still has a few rough spots. But first, what's the game even about? The game opens with Talion, a ranger of Gondor, who is living with his family and is in charge of protecting the Black Gate, which is basically Mordor's front door. Their happy family life is cut short when the gate is attacked by the forces of Sauron, led by the Hammer, the Tower, and the Black Hand, who kill everyone but decide to take Talion and his family captive. The Black Captains use Talion, his wife, and his son to perform a blood ritual in the attempt to summon the long-dead elf lord Celebrimbor. But instead, the elf binds himself to Talion, preventing him from dying with his family. After being a wraith for so many years, Celebrimbor has amnesia and he needs Talion's help to get his missing memories back, while also finding a way to draw out the Black Hand to get revenge and break the curse that's binding them. We have a setup, a motive, and now we're free to cause untold death and destruction to the orcs in Mordor. I thought Batman was vengeance, but Talion takes it to a whole nother level. Now that we are in the open world, we have access to our new wraith powers, like our bow, the ability to brand orcs, and climb towers. And our new elven lord loves them a little bit too much.
What beautiful stones.
Even with Celebrimbor and his tower autism, the forge towers around the map will reveal surrounding objectives and become your fast travel points. It's like your basic Ubisoft tower climbing that I've done a million times, but I give this game a pass because it was released the same year as Far Cry 4, and that hadn't become annoying yet. The combat in Shadow of Mordor is similar to the Batman Arkham games, with fights mostly consisting of a basic attack, countering to build up a combo to use special executions, and a stun for enemies that can't be countered. A big difference in this game is instead of subduing the bad guys, like in Arkham, you become the boogeyman of Mordor. Over the course of the game, you unlock new abilities in the skill tree and runes from killing war chiefs that take Talion from being decently powerful to completely overpowered. Even though by the end of the main story, difficulty is completely thrown out the window, it never stops being fun to kill orcs, and that's this game's biggest strength. Every fight is satisfying. From using Wraith Strike to secure high ground, stealth branding orcs and having them turn on their friends, to wiping out foes with finishers, it stays visually interesting even after all these years. Also introduced in this game was the Nemesis system, which is still impressive to this day. Other games have tried to copy this system, like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey with their mercenaries, but nothing comes close to the uniqueness you see in the orcs during your playthrough. The main objective of the Nemesis system is always having new orcs that are mildly distinct from one another, while also tracking what interactions you have with the orcs to basically create little stories within the gameplay. As an example, say you're running around completing side quests when you come across the captain and you kill him, say by shooting him in the head or by setting him on fire. There's a chance he will come back to life, being changed by the way he died and commenting on what happened. It's honestly amazing. The first couple times you run into an orc that you killed previously and he remembers what you did to him really shows the strength of the system in place. But with how cool the Nemesis system is, it's not without its faults, and I'll get into that later. Psych, I'm getting into it right now, and to avoid this being a complete glaze fest, I need to talk about my two problems I have with this game. The Nemesis system. Don't get me wrong, having unique orcs and different interactions based on what you do in the open world is amazing, but I feel like I never really interacted with the system to its fullest potential. Whenever a captain would show up during a mission or random encounter, it would be cool, but not very memorable after a while. I either killed him or branded him and never thought about him ever again, which is a problem when the system thrives on remembering orcs and having unique interactions. The game also wants you to micromanage your branded dudes to do assassinations or rallies rallies, but those are just you watching from the sidelines or just doing the job for your captain. Also, why would I spend this time raising the power level of an orc when I could just brand the war chief at the top? Around the middle of my playthrough, it was just way too easy for me to pull up on the war chiefs that have like 3 bodyguards and just kill all of them, which detracts from using the system at all. The story and the boss battles. So let's continue where we left off. Talion and Celebrimbor enter Mordor and come across a few new characters on their quest, and also some we have seen before. Missions usually revolve around either teaching the player new abilities, finding Celebrimbor's past belongings that restore his memories, or leading the player to the Black Hand for revenge and breaking the curse. Talion runs into an orc named Ratbag, who is mainly in the story to teach the players how to use the Nemesis system to train and level orcs up to war chiefs, and him and Talion do have some funny cutscenes, which is a plus.
Just make sure you show up to take the place of the dead war chief.
But the war chief's not dead.
I'm going to go kill him!
Good plan!
Next we meet Hirgon, a deserter of the Black Gate who leads and lives with people who call Mordor their home. Talion helps him free his people and his wife in exchange for his help in drawing out the Hammer of Sauron. First he kills Ratbag, who I kinda liked, and now he's ready to fight us. And by boss fight, I mean lame-ass fight, because all you do is hit a nearby orc a couple times, then finisher on him, then nearby orc, then finisher, and then it's over in like 5 seconds. Man, I really hope the rest of the boss fights aren't as weak as this one. After we take out the hammer, we meet Lithariel, the daughter of Queen Marwen, the ruler of Nirn, in our new open world area. Upon arriving to Nirn, we meet the queen, and she tells us the location of a relic that we are looking for. But she also pushes us to raise an army of orcs and lead an assault against Sauron. Lastly, we meet Torvin, basically the best character in the game because he is funny but also shows other emotions. Talion joins the dwarf in his quest of hunting down the mighty Graug. Torvin convinces Talion to help him by telling him that the Graug's lair has some old artifacts that he's looking for. Torvin missions are my favorite in the game because they were doing unique activities in hunting the different creatures, and for the fact that Torvin had a personality instead of being a vehicle to teach me something. Once the Graug is defeated, we find the last remaining artifact and learn that Celebrimbor was actually the one who forged the One Ring and was tricked by Sauron into doing it. Upon returning to Queen Marwen, Talion realizes that she's being possessed by the White Wizard Saruman and frees her from his control with the help of Lithariel. Queen Marwen arranges a boat for Talion and Celebrimbor, who now take a small unit of orcs to the Black Hand stronghold to finally get revenge. Assaulting the stronghold, we reunite with the tower, who has this menacing badass design. Oh man, I'm getting hyped. We are building up to an awesome fight. I'm so excited. Okay, stealth attack him 3 times and do a quick time event. Our orc slaying duo return to Nirn to find that the Black Hand is back where it all started, the Black Gate. Talion and Celebrimbor run to the gate to confront him, and upon arriving, we get our final flashback. Turns out, Celebrimbor has tried this whole raising an army to battle Sauron thing before, but back then, the One Ring betrays him, so him and his family are killed. The Black Hand performs the blood ritual once more and binds Celebrimbor to him, leaving Talion without his ability to stay alive. With the emo elf and Celebrimbor now bound together, Sauron possesses their body and takes physical form, and we get a boss fight with the Dark Lord himself.
This is no longer our battle. I tried fighting you. It can't be done.
Could you really rest for all of eternity, knowing that you had the chance to stop him, but did nothing? Time has come for a new ring.
So would I recommend this game? Hell yeah, I would. Even with some characters being a little bland and the boss battles being extremely lame, the story is still very good and worth experiencing if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. Now the real question, is this game canon? The amount of Reddit posts on this topic is astounding, but I think I have an answer. So basically, Lord of the Rings canon is only what Tolkien himself wrote. Nothing can be added or removed. So this means the movies and the 2 Mordor games are technically not canon, and more of adaptations / fan fictions of Tolkien's work, which I think is a good thing. I think canon should work like this for every franchise, so no one can screw with it later. So would these 2 games technically be canon in the movie universe? Early in development, it sounded like they wanted to make a movie tie-in game, but when Peter Jackson was brought in, he advised them not to. So the games are separate from both movies and books, but the games are so closely tied with the movies because they collaborated with Weta Workshop very closely to do the effects and scenery, so it feels like it's set in the movies. In my own mind, I love the games and tie-ins so much that whenever I watch the movies, to me I think they're canon. So, on my mission to 100% the game, I needed to do a few tedious things to achieve my goal. There are 2 kinds of collectibles scattered throughout the game. First is Etheldon, elvish words that over time form into a mural. Second are artifacts, also spread throughout, but they are a bit more interesting because they have a little bit of lore attached to them, and Talion and Celebrimbor comment on them, which is cool. So I went ahead and collected all of them. Next were the sword, dagger, and bow rebuilding missions that are small and quick challenges. Once completed, unlock a special ability for their respective weapon. Dagger gets infinite stealth, with the bow getting infinite arrows, and the sword giving you infinite finishers for a limited time. Next was the creature hunting and plant collecting challenges that required me to hunt down their respective objectives in a certain order, and they were easy and kind of fun. I completed all of them while doing the main story, and they were never really a challenge. Lastly, and the most annoying, was the slave freeing missions that are super repetitive and don't give you anything for completing them, which is super lame. So getting the 100% save file is a pretty fun journey with some cool abilities unlocked at the end, even though it can be tedious at times. For post-launch content, we got 2 story DLCs, with story being in quotes because the story doesn't really exist. The first one being The Lord of the Hunt, released on December 16th, 2014, and is my favorite of the 2 solely for the new war chiefs. We return to Mordor with Torvin, telling us that a new warchief clan has arrived and is looking to hunt down and tame beasts for their Dark Lord. So what does this DLC add? A new creature in the Korgath, who are just reskinned Caragors, but they can do a stealth attack now, which is cool. We get a new collectible in the form of Torvin's journals, and new hunting missions that give us new abilities and lead to a warchief fight. The best part of this DLC are the warchief fights, because they have so much more personality than the orcs in the base game. For example, we have a warchief that loves having ghouls as pets, and is super obsessed with them. It shows that Monolith also thought that the orcs could be a little more exaggerated. This DLC has some good fights and missions, so I would recommend to play it, especially if you love Torvin. The second story DLC was The Bright Lord, and was released on February 24th, 2015, and is kind of a confusing addition to the game. The DLC basically takes the flashbacks from the main game with Celebrimbor and lets you play as them by amassing an army to fight Sauron. It's set in the same map as the base game, but this time it has a red tint where you can't see anything in front of you, and you get new abilities, which is cool, but you also have abilities taken away, which is kind of dumb, I think. To sum up the 3-hour DLC, you brand war chiefs, build the forge towers, listen to Celebrimbor and Sauron trash talk each other, and have a boss fight at the end. A boss fight, huh? It's probably lame like the last ones. Oh my god, dude, it's a real boss fight, and it has different stages, and it's not just quick time events. It's actually really good. Honestly, the best part of this DLC is having a real fight with Sauron at the end, but the experience overall is kinda lame. The collectible is even lamer, with it being just notes left by orcs that have nothing to do with Celebrimbor. But say you want more Celebrimbor and you want good boss fights, I would recommend just play the sequel Shadow of War instead. So my verdict? Amazing. Please play it if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings because it is just so good. Even though there are some problems, I'm more prone to them because I've played this game so many times, but I would instantly recommend it to anyone looking for a short, tight little piece of a game. Hey, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Later.